Hello there, everyone. Welcome back to another exciting episode of Guapish, not Rule 34. We dropped it. Come on, get with the times, Tanner. Speaking of Tanner, I'm being joined by my very special guest who's gentle, sensitive, and full of longing, Tanner.
That's right. Dude, how am I gonna goon without the Rule 34 in the title?
And we're also being joined by my second guest who's on the brink of experiencing ego death, Jackson.
Not just ego death, true death. I'm actually planning on joining the town this week.
The town, you say? That's right, folks. Today, we have a very special episode planned for you, as with every episode, but this one in particular is a bit more interesting. Tanner, would you like to tell the folks about it?
That's right, guys. It's time for a new segment. Here we are with... we didn't choose a name. Are we gonna call it Guapish at the Library?
Guapish at the Book Club.
Guapish at the Book Club? That we could do that. Or just the Guapish Book Club.
I like the library one more just because it goes with our other theme of one word segments.
True.
At the book club seems a little wordy.
Library
Guapish
it is
at the
then.
Library. We're doing book reviews now. I've never reviewed a book before.
Same. I definitely have actually in my college days for like assignments, but
I don't know, does a book report count as a review? I don't think I've ever ended a report with, and I think this book was pretty alright. I'd recommend it.
I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10. Pretty decent, all things considered.
Someone should do that, dude. That'd be funny. But yeah, we reviewed a book, guys, and this week we decided to review the very first Goosebumps book, Welcome to Dead House.
That's right. That's the first one, probably. If you're gonna be typing down in the comments, actually, Stay Out of the Basement is the very first book that R.L. Stine had planned. Fuck you. Die.
Yeah.
But I am curious, guys, what is your experience with Goosebumps up until this point?
Dude, I have read a handful of Goosebumps books and enjoyed them. Or I think I enjoyed them. I wasn't a huge horror guy as a little kid, but I've definitely read some of them, and I'm pretty sure I enjoyed them. Who knows? Maybe as a little kid I was terrified, and then growing up I was like, oh, people say these books are like iconic or whatever. I guess I like them now.
Yeah, I never read them as a kid because the covers scared me too much, and I was a little pussy, okay? I didn't like scary things whatsoever. Jaws, that shit fucking scarred me. Gremlins, I couldn't sleep for weeks after seeing that shit. And so Goosebumps, I could just never quite deal with it up until now.
So this is your first time ever reading a Goosebumps book?
That's right. Live on air, we popped my Goosebumps cherry.
Dude, that's crazy. What about you, Jackson?
I used to read these all the time as a kid. I read so many of them. They were some of my favorite books growing up as a wee lad. They definitely scared me. Lots of them I remember freaking the shit out of me back in the day. Yeah, and this is the first time I've read one since like middle school probably, if not earlier. This is definitely some elementary school shit. Maybe early on in middle school. I mostly got these in like book fairs and read them at like school libraries. Yeah, I used to enjoy them a lot back in the day. Used to be a big fan of them. I've got a lot of fond memories of reading about them.
Nice. Well, yeah. So I guess we can do overall thoughts.
Well, I guess we should probably do like a quick rundown of what actually happens in this book.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea. I can do that.
Okay.
So we have a nuclear family with siblings Josh and Amanda.
I thought you were going to start off with, we have a nuclear meltdown that happened in this town. It's crazy. Just immediately go off the rails.
That's funny. No, yeah, and they move into a house, and things are kind of creepy in the house, and then they make friends with the neighborhood kids, and then their dog gets killed, and they find out that all of the people in the town were killed by a plastic factory chemical leak. And now they have to kill people once a year and drink their blood or something. The end. Oh, well, they get away. But
yeah. The question is, though, do they all die at the end?
Yeah, that is left up open to interpretation, I suppose, because they do have the correlation to the family with the previous tenants.
Oh, yeah. I see what you're saying. I kind of just assume, this family is escaping, and then there's a new one coming in The one thing I did think is, I mean, I know it's a hard to believe story, but you're not going to try warning the new family at all?
Yeah, like, I mean, you could assume maybe they're in a panic to get out of there as fast as possible. But, yeah, I definitely would have tried to say something rather than literally just the line the rest of the kids say, which I guess maybe leans credence to the fact that maybe they are truly dead at the end.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I was thinking. I wasn't totally sure if they actually did make it out or if it's like, oh, yeah, I guess we're just trapped in this town now too, or something.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know even necessarily the process for what turns them dead in the first place. We don't really see it or have any clue to it, so...
Killing all the other townspeople actually is what kills you.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I wanted to real quick say, comment on the cover. I find the tagline very funny, where it's "Welcome to Dead House," and then the tagline is "It will just kill you." I know that's not the cadence they want it read. They want it to be like "It will just kill you" or whatever, but I think it's infinitely more funny to just "It will just kill you."
Hang on, dude. Tier list idea. Tier list of all of the Goosebumps fucking slogans on the cover.
Slogans. I think that might be a decent idea, because I clicked through, the books. A few of the taglines are just like, this is just very funny in how bad they are, to be clear. So, overall thoughts on the book. I liked it. I thought it was solid. It's very straightforward and kind of boring, especially for a first entry. I will say I didn't remember very many specifics about Goosebumps, and so I was kind of worried that it was going to be like really watered down baby horror, where there isn't anything really like violent or bad actually happening. But no, they kill the dog, and then they have some actual imagery of like people fucking having their faces melt off and shit and whatever. I was like, oh, okay, they have some actual stuff that'll scare the kiddos.
Yeah, I was shocked with how graphic they were with this. I'm pretty sure later down the line they start toning it down a bit, and this is him just trying to like find the line he can draw, basically, on how far he can go with it. But yeah, I don't remember them ever being this graphic.
Yeah, in the second book, he has a scene where a guy just, like, stomps someone's head in for a few minutes, and, after that, he has to rein it back a little bit.
The editor's like, okay, man, we're making this for kids, right? I'll go next. I'm pretty similar to Tanner. I think this movie, I'm so used to reviewing movies, my brain's fucked up. This book takes a while to like truly get where it's going, and if you have any semblance of media literacy, it's incredibly obvious what's happening very early on. So most of this is just kind of boring because like I already know what the fuck's happening, and it's just constantly fake out after fake out after fake out after fake out, and it's kind of annoying. And it's like the fucking main character is just like schizophrenia simulator. Nobody believes her. She doesn't know if she believes herself. It's pretty like almost like a comedy in that regard. But yeah, it takes a while to like really get where it's going. I do like the idea. I think all of the Goosebumps books have pretty novel concepts, and that's why I appreciate them, just because it's like they introduce a cool idea and then it lets your brain kind of run wild with like expansions of that idea, maybe, rather than the actual like story that takes place itself. I think the setup to beating the guys in the end is cool. I like that they play with the setting that way. But yeah, overall it was kind of boring for the most part. I like the idea. I could see myself fucking with this if I was younger and I didn't have as much experience and I was more caught up in the mystery of it all potentially.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with my husband here. Yeah, this book was kind of whatever for the most part for me, because yeah, as Jackson was saying, it is just a lot of like fucking, bait and switches here and there. It's like, is the kid missing? Is he being chased right now? Oh no, okay, he's chasing the dog, how silly, whatever, fuck you. Also, just the way this book is written, it feels very much so just like targeted towards a younger audience. So like, obviously it's a fucking Goosebumps book, so that is the case here, but at the same time it's like, all right, I don't need things reiterated like 10 times for me to understand what's happening. Like fucking at one point, it was pretty early on, the mom is like, I'm gonna kill that boy, and then like a couple paragraphs later she's like, I'm gonna kill that boy, and the main character thinks, that's not the first time she said that. Yeah, we just heard her say it. Why are you saying that now?
That's kind of funny to point out. I kind of disagree with you guys on the like fake outs, because like, I don't know, to me that was just like, to me it was kind of interesting to see that from like a writing skill, I guess, a perspective, because like he was always doing that stuff at the end of the chapter. I'm like, oh, okay, so this is like a way that you get the reader to keep going through the book and make sure they keep turning the pages. You just put a small little like, ooh, something's gonna be revealed at the beginning of the next chapter thing, and I don't think it's as big of a deal as you guys are making it out to be.
Generally speaking, I'm not really opposed to fake outs because they're just a really common trope in horror media. Like fucking horror movies do it all the goddamn time. But the problem is just the frequency of them. They're just non-stop in this shit constantly. There's like fucking 2 a chapter until we get to the actual like scary stuff that starts. And at a point, the first couple of I was like, oh, they're really picking up the pace pretty quickly. But after like the first 3, I was like, okay, I see where this is going. And yeah, it's basically just nonstop fake outs until we actually learn what's going on. And it was grating. It was mostly just like, I'd get a setup and I'd be like, I know exactly where this is going. There was no suspense to it whatsoever. And that was right 90% of the time about what was going to happen.
Do you guys think that when those, all them little chillin', like, gathered around them with them baseball bats, do you think they were legitimately about to just fucking bash their brains in?
I assume there's some, like, magic or some shit they do to convert them, potentially. Maybe they knock them out with the bat and, like, tie them up and take them over to the amphitheater or something. Something nefarious is definitely happening. Speaking of, like, the kids, like, they were playing outside in the day all the time. Why the fuck weren't the kids, like, dying or some shit?
I believe the first time it's actually written down that they're like outside, it was like a stormy day, so there was like cloud coverage.
But they're like playing with them like daily for like a couple of weeks.
They talk a lot about how many like trees and how much shade there is, and how like the only part of this town that has any light is like the middle of the street, and so it's possible that they just weren't ever actually in the sunlight.
Crazy that they'd be able to do that, but yeah, understandable. I do like the setting though, just like those tiny details about the whole place being dead, the fucking all the street lights being gone. There's a lot of clues they give you early on, honestly, which leads me more into like Goosebumps books are just like good starter books, I think, for getting into things. They don't hold your hand a crazy amount with what they're trying to do. But they give you enough clues to be able to put pieces together yourself. And I think that's what really makes a good mystery at the end of the day, where you're able to work through the problem yourself. So like, I feel like a kid reading this would have a great time just because like they don't have this level of like media knowledge at this point. And it is like a fun puzzle that they realistically could solve themselves pretty consistently with a lot of these. And I like that. I think it's fun.
Yeah, it's like them old Nancy Drew books and such. Do they still make Goosebumps books, or has that completely been overtaken at this point by those FNAF ones?
I don't think he still makes them. I mean, R.L. Stine is still alive, but he's 88, so I don't know if he's still writing.
Okay. Yeah, I know that he got... Because, like, he was fucking busting these books out for years, and I know that he got into, like, some controversy with, like, his publisher or whatever, because he was using ghostwriters for a decent chunk of the books. So I don't know if he just, like, wasn't allowed to write at that point. Yeah. So, like, he had made some... I don't know all the details, but it was like, his publisher was like, hey, you need to get out this many books, and they have to be made by you. You can't have any ghostwriters or whatever the fuck. And so he was like, okay, I'll do that. But then, yeah, he ended up just, like, going ahead and doing that. Where it was like, he'd write the outline of the books, and he'd have, like, some ghostwriters actually write out the whole thing.
I think that might be not his Goosebumps books, because I looked through his Wikipedia, and it said that his publishing company was owned by him and his wife.
I think he had,
his wife was a fucking slave driver.
Yeah, she was. He had, like, some deal with some other company who was involved in all this. I don't remember all the... This is so off track, by the way. But...
What the fuck else are we going to talk about?
That's fair.
Yeah, it's a short book. It's fun. It's got a novel concept. I think if I wasn't a 26-year-old man, I would enjoy this more.
Yeah, I let's see, what other notes do I have here? I thought the ending was a bit abrupt, but it's such a short book that, like, that's kind of just gonna happen.
I can't believe they got in the car with the dude. I can't believe they do that. Are they dumb, stupid little kids or something? Crazy.
Why did he draw so much attention to that cowboy hat the guy put on at the beginning?
Why they draw attention to the fact they think the guy's hot?
Yeah.
True.
He was hinting at some sort of homoerotic relations between the father and that man.
I just totally forgot too. God fucking damn it! They mentioned that they drive a small Honda up to the house, and that I was planning on, because there's a live action episode there's like a 2-parter, I think.
You're gonna look into it and make sure they're actually driving a Honda.
Yeah, exactly. I want to see if there's continuity.
Dude.
You guys keep talking. Let me go find that.
Okay. One line I thought was very funny was when the kids say, "Now we're dead in your house."
It was definitely fun.
We lived in the dead house. Now we're dead in your house. Silly stuff, I tell you.
Okay, so here's the thing with the ghostwriter stuff. So Scholastic was the publisher of Goosebumps, but another company, it looks like Parachute Press, owned the rights to Goosebumps. And yeah, it got very messy when, like, one of the companies were like, yeah, ghostwriters, that's a no-go, you're not allowed to use them. And the other company was like, it's chill though, like, it's just as, like, sole writer in the clause. It doesn't say it like he can't use assistants or anything. Which
Why would they?
Yeah.
Why would they care?
I don't know. It's impossible to say truly.
Anyways, I've solved the mystery here. They don't. They drive like a fucking Ford wagon, like some old school, like 90s Ford Taurus wagon.
That's knocking the book down a point. Or does it knock the show down a point?
Knocks the show down a point, man. They're not following continuity. I did watch a little bit of like the end of the show because I was curious if they solved it in the same way. They don't. The show adaptation is pretty different.
Gotcha.
Womp womp.
Did you hear the viewers beware? You're in for a scare.
Yeah, no, I watched the very intro part where fucking R.L. Stein comes out from a stack of boxes in an attic and gives the fucking synopsis and then says, "Viewers beware, you're in for a scare." I love that. I love R.L. Stein just as a character. I think he's fun.
Oh, yeah.
So, hey, I'm R.L. Stein. I hope you enjoy this here book about Fat Albert and the gang going to the dead house.
I hope kids still read Goosebumps books. They probably don't, but
No,
I
doubt
hope they do.
Like I said, it's all about FNAF now.
Do they even have book fairs or anything anymore?
Yeah, they do.
Hell yeah. I used to fuck with book fairs so much. They're like such a big part of my childhood.
I do too. A couple weeks ago, I was legit looking at some books that I remember getting from book fairs. I'm like, man, I really kind of want to buy these just to have a blast of nostalgia.
We are such creatures of nostalgia. It's truly crazy. Like, we're only 20. Are we all 26 now, except for Nico, little baby guy?
I'm sorry, dude. Give me a week or so, and I'll be 26 like the rest of you.
Hell yeah, you're gonna be pushing 30 like the rest of us. But yeah, we're still pretty young. We're like a third of the way done with our lives or so, depending on the outlook you want to give. And I'm very nostalgic for like being a fucking child. I'm curious if this is just gonna grow even more intense as I get older.
Maybe.
I feel that, dude. Like, you saw me go on a tear to just, like, download pretty much every game from my childhood so I could play them whenever I want to. Have I done that yet? No, but I like knowing I can.
Yeah. Is that what like a midlife crisis is? You're just, like, so overwhelmed with, like, that childhood sense of adventure and want that you go out and just do something that, like, childhood you would want to do, but you can now?
I need to download Tokabots Plus for the PS2. I need to relive those memories.
I need to buy a brand new Corvette. Childhood me loved Corvettes.
Jackson, which of us do you think is the most likely to go through, like, a bad midlife crisis?
A bad one? Damn.
Yeah, where it's like not necessarily like, oh yeah, they're going out and like doing a bunch of drugs and fucking hookers or anything like that, but like it's a pretty substantial midlife crisis.
Toss up between Tanner and me then.
Okay.
I feel like I kind of preemptively had my midlife crisis, to be honest.
He got out of the way
I
early.
already bought my dream car, and I'm not even close to my midlife crisis point yet, so I'm really cooking up to be a fucking crash out here.
You still have a dream motorcycle to buy.
True, but that one's like incredibly obtainable. I'm not buying some fucking $60,000 like race bike.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, do we want to, I don't know, How do we want to do this?
Let's see. Yeah, should we do like some sort of a rating? Do we use a tier list system or just like numbers?
Dude, how about we do a solid just 1 to 5 rating here? 1 to 5.
Can we use like points? Like 0.5 or whatever?
No.
No, because what's the fucking point of just not doing like out of 10 then?
I do like the idea of it being like a different system from what either of the other reviews do.
Yeah, I was gonna say as well. I almost think we do like a
I'm thinking of like the 0.5 scale is more of like like the smiley face charts, right? Where the middle is like neutral about it, and then it's like slightly happy, and then like very happy, and then slightly bad, and then or like slightly
I do think
worse.
some sort of chart system like that.
Dude,
is what we should
let's just pull up an
invent
actual
here.
smiley face chart and use that. Hang on.
Wait, what about that fucking like chess move analysis thing? What if we try and fucking retrofit a rating system onto that?
I hope you guys aren't planning on me keeping track of this shit too. I have no intention of like adding this to the site or anything right now.
If we ever do a second Guapish at the library, we will do that.
I'll add a hidden page on the website for it because we're gonna do these so infrequently. I imagine that it's not gonna be worth it to have a whole ass page for like 2 fucking book reviews every year.
Yeah. Hang on, let's use this pain chart. How does that sound?
Dude, I don't like that neutral. Or why is like the neutral fucking one distressing?
I'm proposing the chest move analysis system here.
I do like saying blunder. I think that's a funny way of describing something as just a big fail.
Yeah, we can use that.
Okay, there we go.
Let's say this was a book.
That is a great middle point.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a book that we've just read. I'll agree with that. I'm not like super negative about it because I realize this is not targeted towards me. And I do see the value of who it is targeted for. It's not like some kids movie that's just like some dumb shit for nothing because it's meant to be for some stupid kids. This is like...
There's still value here in this book.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm still very nostalgic about it. I don't think I ever read this one as a kid, but I am excited to read some of the ones I actually do know of. Like the fucking... The ones where it's like the mask you put on, you can only put on like 3 times unless it gets like stuck in your face.
Yeah.
The basement one. I have a lot of basement ones actually. There's the basement one with the slime. There's another one with like a plant that eats the fucking dad. Mm-hmm. All sorts of crazy.
They're
shit
all the
that
ones
happens.
with that little dummy. I know that those were pretty huge. He appears in a bunch of books.
Yeah, he's like the mascot. I don't think I ever read any of those, to be honest.
I could not be bothered to remember which ones I have and haven't read.
Tanner just wants to read Attack of the Mutant.
The one with the fucking Yeti that wanders around LA.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah,
I remember the
that
cover
one's
for
more
that one.
comedic than anything, I think.
There are a lot of them that mostly are just about the comedy of the situation rather than the actual like horror of it.
Oh, I just remembered one that definitely scared me as a kid. It was where like it was a bunch of skeletons having a barbecue.
Oh, say cheese and you die or whatever.
Yeah,
say
maybe.
cheese, you're dead. Say cheese and die.
Hell yeah. I doubt I'll get another opportunity to talk about this too, but I did randomly watch a TV original Goosebumps episode relatively recently. It was like a month ago maybe. I don't know what spurred this on. Probably just us talking about Goosebumps about a month ago, regardless. But it was like some like little prop house, like a little not prop house, but prop town. And if you interacted with it in some way, you basically got sucked into the town. It was like ran by some fucking weirdo dude that wanted to turn you into like a plastic figurine there, so you're stuck in the town forever.
Damn.
You have to find a way of escaping. That was an interesting one. They do some weird shit. Like one of the main girls is a big capitalist, and she gets turned into a fucking pig. That shit's pretty creepy.
Yeah.
Like they can do creepy stuff if they want to, but it's still definitely like some kids horror shit. I think that was an okay episode. People say it's like one of the scariest Goosebumps things of all time. I don't know if that's the peak then.
Yeah, I remember watching an episode as a kid where it was like some kids moving to a new house. That's the typical Goosebumps formula right there. But they move into a new like old creepy house. There's a mirror in there that like when you look into it, you get replaced by a mirror version of you. And so like she sees her brother eating his cereal with the opposite hand of what he usually does, and it's so creepy.
I think I remember an episode about eating bugs that scared me.
I'm like suddenly just overwhelmed with a sense of like I know of like a story, but I don't know if it's real or not. Let me fucking rip this idea off you guys, and you guys tell me if you've heard anything about it. Where it's literally there's like a mirror world, right? And everybody has like a mirror copy of themselves, and the mirror people want to come up into the real world and like take over the true self. Because they don't want to be stuck in the fucking mirror world. And there's like police that are specifically out there trying to stop the mirror people from getting into the real world and keeping them down there.
Oh, it's Infinity Train.
Is that where I got that from? Oh yeah, you're right. It's Infinity Train. You're right. Yeah. I was like, for some reason, I thought that was some shit that came to me in like a fucking dream at some point.
Before you said the police thing, I was gonna say fucking what's that one called? Us. By Jordan Peele.
I've never seen that. I do feel like I had something of that. Because I definitely know what you're talking about, the Infinity Train thing. That's certainly where the most of the idea came from, I think. But I feel like I've had some like dream about something like that before, way long ago.
Whoa.
Oh well. Anyways, how exciting!
That's right, guys. The first Goosebumps in the bag. We're giving it the rating of book. Do we want to do anything else before we go into Guapish at the movies?
The pre-guap was pretty long, so I think we only have like half an hour or so far. So we should probably talk about a little something else here real quick.
Jackson, have you continued reading Deadly Class at all since we last spoke of it?
Dude, I've been so fucking inconsistent on that shit. Sometimes I'll read like a couple chapters a day, and then I'll also go like a week without touching it. What's helped me a little bit is there's an app I use to read manga, and apparently it's on that fucking app. So that's helped a little bit, because I was previously just like on some shitty fucking website. I think it was the one you sent me.
Yeah.
This is much easier because it has an actual like way I can fucking like zoom in and shit much more easily. I have not gone a crazy amount farther though. I definitely need to fucking pick up the pace.
Not a problem, dude.
Every chapter just takes so long. There's so much fucking reading. It's like I'm reading a book every chapter.
Very funny. That you randomly remind me. I finally put what's it called? I got a browser extension that like blocks YouTube after I've spent a certain amount of time on it per day. Because I want to watch TV shows, and I want to read books, and I want to play video games, but for whatever reason, just anytime I'm like, oh, I got some free time now, I just go, man, opening the fucking Steam browser and launching the game is too much effort. I'm just gonna go on YouTube.
That is a dangerous game to play though, because if you don't have like the actual longing to play something, and you like block out other options so you have to do something like that, it might like, you know, build resentment towards it. Like you're just doing it out of obligation. It's going to make you dislike it, potentially have like a negative association.
Maybe, but also like I could turn off the browser thing so easily if I like actually want to. It's mostly just like a lot of the time it's like I'll finish the stuff that's actually being uploaded by people I want to frequently watch, and then I'll find one, maybe two videos on the front page I actually find interesting, and then I'll just be watching nonsense for like hours.
And just starts watching Cocomelon spiraling out of control.
Yeah, exactly. It's shit I'm not even interested in watching, and I know I would rather be doing other things. I just get stuck in the YouTube hole.
That reminds me of the Technology Connections video. I don't know if you watched the one I sent you about
I need to.
Yeah, basically the synopsis of the video is that a lot of the time people are watching things fed to them by an algorithm, and it's not an actual conscious choice they're making in what they're consuming. It's just they're looking at stuff, and there's no like actual brain involvement with it whatsoever. And that's just a very dangerous trap to get into, because, you know, it's like, it is honestly, for me, it's like almost fucking scary how accurate it is sometimes. Like with like TikTok, for example. Everybody knows you're just sitting there watching videos, mindlessly not paying any attention. But that's like basically what everything is nowadays. Like me scrolling, looking at pictures on shit on Twitter is probably not any better for me. Because at the end of the day, I am just scrolling, looking around at a list of randomly fucking assigned shit to me, rather than like consciously going out of my way to like learn about something, even if it is pretty benign or something that doesn't necessarily matter. I am still just looking at some shit that's fucking fed to me. And I don't know. It doesn't sit well with me having that agency taken away from me, and how casually basically everything is that nowadays. Like even with YouTube, it's pretty crazy. Like one of the points, I think he pulled up a statistic about it, but like basically nobody uses a subscription feed anymore. Most people just watch everything off of like their homepage. And that did make me think about it. Like, I definitely use my subscription feed a lot. It's like the first thing I check when I go onto YouTube.
Yeah.
But most of the time, I look at my subscription feed. I like see the videos, but I don't really go out of my way to watch them. And a lot of the time, I will just click on some random thing on my homepage. So I'm like slowly shifting over to the other side there, and I don't fucking like that. And it's probably because my brain's more used to just being fed something rather than like actively making a choice about it. Scary thought.
Yeah, that makes me think of, like, I remember back in middle school, like, the main way I would use YouTube is I would actually search for shit and see what I would find, or I would hear about a video in person from someone else, and then I would search for that video. Mm-hmm. And, like, now I don't really use the search bar at all for finding, like, YouTube videos. I just go off of, like, the homepage and maybe check my subscription feed, and I often don't do that just because, like, I'm like, my subscription stuff typically shows up on the homepage anyway.
Yeah, it doesn't help too that the search functions at a lot of websites are absolute fucking dog shit nowadays too. Like, YouTube is hit list number 1 here. It's actually fucking terrible now.
Yeah, it's horrid.
Yeah. 5 results that are kind of close to what you're looking at, and then the rest of it is just recommended bullshit. Like, that's not what I'm fucking searching for. Give me what I'm looking for. It's so stupid. Like, even if you try to avoid the algorithm is just feeding you bullshit, you can't avoid it because you're just immediately gonna get sucked back in.
And even if it's not the algorithm, there's like so much like human-made SEO slop everywhere that like they've intentionally fucked up like a normal search engine's ability to find things.
It's dire, truly.
Yeah.
It's a fucking dystopia we're living in.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned that, you know, probably a couple months ago now. I'm like, the internet seems like it's getting worse at the things it was, like, originally intended to do.
Oh, yeah, 100%. It is significantly worse than it was previously, because it mostly was just an easy way of finding information and sharing information with people across great distances, and now it's mostly just for wasting time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you guys foresee yourselves ever like getting off the internet for a significant amount of time? I don't necessarily mean like, I mean like let's say you can do the bare minimum stuff where like, yeah, you can go on like a Netflix, or you can like, you know, play a video game with an online connection or something, but like disconnecting from like the very like, this is an internet thing, you know?
Yes, I absolutely can see myself doing that. I'm already fucking halfway there, and like, I want a better server setup so I can like host my own media and shit like that. And, you know, like Plex, for example, I have, if I could have a more like complete setup with that, where basically everything I'm looking at is through Plex, that'd be nice, because that's a very active experience. Like, oh yeah, I want to watch this TV show, there's no like recommended bullshit, whatever. And having systems like that of like my own grid, I also can totally see myself becoming like some fucking schizo Linux user that lives in the middle of fucking nowhere on like their own grid. I watch a lot of like homestead content, and I do like the idea of potentially like moving out and being like some self-sufficient kind of thing at some point. I think it's interesting. And this is gonna sound dumb as shit too, but like back when I lived at the house, I quite liked doing yard work. I think it was a nice change of pace for when I was, you know, stuck on my computer all day. It was like a forced way of going outside and just doing something simple. And like a homestead kind of thing, maybe not to like the actual degree of like a full-on homestead, but it's like an off-grid kind of setup would force me to do that a lot of the time as part of my life. And I think that'd be good for me, so I could see myself doing it at some point.
Yeah. I could definitely see myself doing it once I start having kids, and I'm just like, okay, we're gonna, up until the kid is like, I don't know, 14, 15, it's gonna be fucking DVDs and VHSs with us. We're gonna keep them off the internet.
The problem is, like, it's so fucking hard to be able to do that unless you're literally, like, homeschooling the fucker, because comparison's the thief of joy here. You know, your kids are going to be interacting with all these other kids that have fucking iPads and phones and shit in elementary school, and they're immediately just going to be fucking bitching at you and screaming constantly to let you have that, too. And obviously, good parenting can help avoid this problem, but also you could just get unlucky with a kid that doesn't have that level of, you know, understanding, and they'll just freak out at you, and it's just gonna make your life hell, and eventually you'll give in because it's just the easy route.
I'm hoping they inherit my ego, and so when I tell them, well, you not having those things means you're smarter than them, is a good enough answer for them.
But then they'll just be like, Dad, you're a fucking boomer. Kill yourself, guy. Fuck you. You don't know what's what.
Dumb fucking skibbity Rizzler. You got no aura, yo.
Damn.
Do you think your children will resent you for being white, Tanner?
Not if I raise them right. They'll resent the... and actually, I'm not going to make that joke.
Do you think they'll call you a jive-ass turkey?
I don't know if I'm going to teach them, late 70s Ebonics, but if I do, I hope they call me that.
Okay.
I do have one other topic I just thought of, and I even forgot to write this one down.
Dude, I didn't get to say anything about the previous one. Come on, man.
You immediately went into some entirely other thing.
That's
didn't know
what
you
I
were going
do.
to chime in. Go ahead, then.
It's fine, though. I've lost the train of thought for everything at this point. It's chill.
Fantastic. I kind of wanted to talk about creative inspiration and what sort of responsibilities we think that creators have to make those inspirations known. And specifically, this connects back to our review of The Sadness, which was very obviously inspired by Cross. But more recently, I've been playing the game Control, and that game is very obviously heavily inspired by SCP. And I haven't looked at any interviews or anything to see if they actually do say, yeah, we were inspired by SCP. But I'm kind of curious if you guys think that when you are making something and you are very you're calling back to another thing pretty obviously, do you have a responsibility to make it known that that is what you're doing, and to, I don't know, say, hey, by the way, check out this other thing because I really liked it and that's why I made this too?
Yeah, I would say so.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think so.
If you're conscious of the fact that it seems like it's a very, I'm not going to say rip-off, but you know what I mean, then I feel like crediting the original idea, at the very least, is such a minimal amount of effort, but it's still, I don't know, it clears you of maybe some drama that could potentially crop up about oh my god, this is just blatantly this other thing. And you're also just paying homage to something you appreciate enough to make your own thing out of. So I don't see the problem. I think it's a win-win all around.
I think it kind of depends on what exactly it is. I think for something like Cross or SCP, those are a bit more niche sort of topics where it's yeah, sure, fucking whatever. I guess I can bring these up. Unless I don't know, it's a world where it wouldn't make sense for this thing to also exist. But I feel for a lot of creatives, though, they'll be drawing from things that are much more popular, where it's I'm gonna make a kaiju fighting movie, so I obviously need to have a picture of Godzilla somewhere in here. I feel for the most part, they'll be more eye-rolly than anything, where if it's popular enough, people know where your inspiration will obviously be, so I don't think it's necessarily call too much attention to it.
I can see how that makes sense. Another wrinkle I literally just thought up is one of the reasons people often don't very explicitly cite their inspirations is because if you do say, yeah, I was directly inspired by this thing, that gives more grounding to lawsuits, potentially. Which, if that's the case, that just fucking sucks.
Yeah, legality is a tough nut to crack because it helps creative things, but also it can stifle creativity in the same fashion.
Yeah, it's like Nintendo back in the day when they made their Donkey Kong cabinets. What? I've never heard of this King Kong thing. What are you referring to? We just said Kong because, I don't know, the Congo or something? That's where gorillas come from, right? Well...
Guapish at the movies!
Guapish at the movies? Do we even want to bother doing the song thing anymore?
I mean, we have to have some sort of, thing here. I guess I can just find a song to toss in. I've wanted to come up with some sort of an intro for the Guapish at the Movies segment, but I just haven't really had the inspiration to do so yet.
We can just mash up fucking the Jurassic Park theme and it's Terror Time from Scooby-Doo Zombie Island.
I think that that would be, quite frankly, a terrible decision. I don't think that those studios who own the rights to such works would be super chill with it, but...
I think for the Guapish of the Disco segment, this is kind of a non sequitur. We need to just take every single album and just overlay every song from every album on top of each other. And that's just the background music for the whole episode.
Dude, I think that's a great idea.
Let's see.
Anyways.
What would be a good idea for the Guapish at the movie segment here? So Tanner said one that would get us litigated against.
Make some chiptune type beat. Experiment.
Yeah. I don't feel like chiptunes really match it quite very well.
You could, though. You can make it some cinema-style chiptune.
Yeah.
Cinematic chiptune. Yeah, I fucking don't know, man.
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, Jackson, what have you watched this week?
The Patreon request this week that we rolled was the 2012 film Chronicle, as requested by Tutbot on Patreon. Thank you for the request. And you've also want to get your request picked and reviewed by us. You can go to guapish.com/Patreon for $1 a month. Get your movie in and we'll review it at some point. Tanner, I think it'd be funny for you and not Nico specifically to give the plot synopsis of this movie.
Fair enough. Chronicle is the story of a couple of high school kids who find a weird object that gives them telekinetic abilities. They're having a fun time doing that, and then one of the kids has family issues that cause him to start losing his mind, and he goes on a bit of a psychosis spiral, and he eventually just starts fucking killing people. And then they stop him. The end. Fun fact, this movie was primarily filmed in Cape Town, South Africa.
What?
Huh? Wouldn't have guessed.
Yeah.
I know, right? It
They
looks
got
so
me.
much like Seattle.
True. They built their own fake space needle. Space needle? Yeah, whatever they're called.
Yeah, the
So
big
Dylan
space needle.
gave this movie a B+.
Currently, I'm sitting at a C+.
Dude, currently, I'm sitting at an S-.
Oh my god. Yeah, I'm at a B- for this one.
Whoa.
There are two
dude, I just fucking love this movie,
It has
honestly.
superpowers in it. Like, what the fuck is your guys' problem? How could you not enjoy it?
I just really thought it was a great
Before you
time.
say anything, let me just clarify something really
Okay.
quickly with you. Is this like a so bad it's good type of thing, or do you genuinely think this is like a good movie of its own merits?
I genuinely think this is a good movie on its own merits.
Okay, go on.
Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was a really well-written story, pretty neat. I thought our characters were fantastic, especially with dialogue. Just like watching them, I was like, man, this is exactly how, you know, high school dudes act around each other and talk and whatever. I saw a lot of critic reviews where like, it turns into a bunch of fucking slop at the end, and I ate that slop up. I loved it. I thought it was a great payoff for like, just throughout the movie they're building up how they're getting stronger and whatever, and I thought that ending fight was a really solid payoff and pretty cool. It has a lot of the same issues that found footage movies have, where it's like, I mean, how do you really justify them still filming this, you know? And then there's some bad CGI here and there as well, but like, really, it was just the story and the characters just were fantastic to me, so I really, really fucked with this movie.
I thought the characters were fine. I don't think they were like super standout. The biggest issue for me was just like our main boy, what the fuck? I don't know any of these characters' fucking names, but our Andrew, yeah, our Andrew, his just fucking immediate spiral into like, I am the apex predator. I'm so much stronger than everyone else. Fuck these guys. So what? I threw up on a woman. Who cares? And then he just becomes a fucking psychopath after that. It was very strange.
Yeah, I disagree. I think the ramp up to that was, it felt
Yeah, you think that was
correct and-
understandable? That's what set him over the edge?
Yeah.
I feel like you could also maybe imply that the fucking powers go into his head a little bit, and that, you know, adds to like the stress, his mom fucking passing away or whatever. He didn't know that at the moment, but she's fucked up. He hates his fucking dad. I could maybe not see exactly where he went, but I feel like there's probably something associated with the power that's happening with that. One thing that I do think, this is kind of a minor thing, that I think is kind of annoying, is they do a lot of illusions of all of the kids. I say illusions. They allude to the kids being connected by, you know, like the nosebleeds when people are using their powers too much or whatever. Like somebody else gets a nosebleed if somebody else uses their powers a lot. But they don't really play with that idea a crazy amount or explain why. I feel like they could have had some sort of, I don't know, more of a plot thread with that, but they don't really do anything outside of it just like lets the other characters know that they're using their powers, and I think it's I don't know, it's kind of a dropped concept personally.
I can kind of see that. I like that they don't reveal a ton of stuff. I was really expecting them at the end of the movie, they were going to finally like re-unearth the thing, and they were going to play back the tape that was buried down there, and there was going to be some big crazy reveal that they were like possessed by aliens or some shit. But I'm actually pretty happy with where it ended, and that it is left open to the interpretation so much.
Yeah. I will say one of my biggest criticisms of this movie is, really it just is the format of it. It being like a found footage style thing. I think this could have worked potentially, but the initial reason for him recording everything at all time, one, it's to defend himself from his father, so he has like evidence of something, but also like he doesn't need to record everything constantly because of that. So just it's on pretty shaky ground to start, and then I think it's kind of funny that they try to play with it with like the other girl also doing recording constantly, so that we have different angles for it in scenes where the main character's not around. I think it's kind of funny.
That seems to be her only purpose in the story too.
Yeah, and that's why I say it's funny, not in like a good way. It's kind of like a criticism way. And then, of course, at the very end, they just don't give a single fuck anymore. I feel like the movie would have been better if they just didn't focus on it that way. I see what they're going with for it. It's probably just like they thought it was cool at the time, but I don't know. I think it would have been better to not record itself that way, personally.
It was very funny to see him just like pull the phones out of like all the people's hands and the fucking like Space Needle just so he can have more angles that they can shoot that scene at.
Yeah, that shit was fucking hilarious.
Yeah, I think it's dumb, but I do think that the found footage aspect of it does give it a little bit of charm. Like when we're seeing them do their big fight, and we see like the footage from like random people being like, "Whoa, what the fuck is going on out there on the street? Whoa, that's crazy!" Just that kind of stuff. I think there's a little bit of charm to it. Overall, it's I don't know though, because it's like, how the fuck is any of this like actually being put into a digestible manner like this?
Yeah, it's not. The believability of it really just seems like they're just doing it for like an interesting piece of cinematography, and I don't think they were going hard enough to try to like actually make it feel like what it is. I will agree with Tanner though. I do like the characters, I would say. I think for the most part they do feel like high school kids with their dumb interactions and shit. I feel like a lot of their honestly, I like the movie for like the first half of it, and then it started going downhill for me near the second half of it mostly. But yeah, I like their initial intros to the power and them fucking around with stuff like that. Yeah, and then after that, I started losing me. I don't know. It's hard to put into words exactly why I didn't particularly like it near the end, but the believability of it, I think, is a big portion. The fucking main character, I just found very annoying near the end too. I didn't really get his plight a ton because like he has so many actionable ways to work around his scenario, and he just doesn't do anything about it. Like he's literally recording himself getting assaulted by his father, and what does he do? He goes and fucking beats up a bunch of hooligans rather than sending this to the fucking police or something. I don't know. I couldn't put myself in the main character's shoes a lot, and a lot of it was just really fucking goofy. So much goofiness in this movie. Like the fucking, I was supposed to feel something when the first guy dies, and I felt nothing. I just thought it was fucking hilarious, to be completely honest. Just caught me off guard. I just thought it was funny.
Yeah.
The fucking main guy's speech in like the dumpster about like the fucking species being cold or something, hilarious. I just found the movie funny in like a schlocky way.
Fuck, that reminded me of something that I wanted to bring up. Shit, what was it?
While you're thinking of that, what did Dylan have to say? Chronicle,
okay. I guess help me out without being redundant for the movie review. But Chronicle. I do remember hearing about this movie when it came out, and I do remember wanting to see it, but obviously had never seen it. I think the concept in this movie is really cool. I think the way that it's filmed works for it, mainly just because, you know, you've got the main boy, he's just using his telekinesis powers to just float around the camera constantly to film himself and also his buddies doing some wacky shit. But, I mean, I thought it was I remember like pointing out, I was like, man, the main character, despite him being the main character, has some real antagonist vibes going on right now. And I towards the end, I wasn't super sure about his character flip. Like, I kind of get it, but I mean, maybe I just don't fully grasp like the abusive nature of his relationship with his dad. But it seemed kind of weird where he'd been hanging out with his cousin and his friend for like what I'm assuming is like the past couple of months. Would it be safe to say they had been hanging out like every day for the past at least 2 or 3 months? Is that out of?
I don't fucking know what the timeline is.
Yeah,
Could have been a couple of weeks.
That's probably the other issue. I mean, I'm just assuming, considering like it seems kind of dangerous for them to be using this power beyond their limits, that they're not doing anything too crazy in such a short period of time. So I just kind of assumed it was over the course of months. But I think regardless, it's a really weird character shift for him to be like, oh, I've got friends and we've been hanging out, and then his dad's like, you don't have friends, and that just causes him to like snap and be like, maybe I don't have friends. But that could also just be in like ode to his like fragile psyche, I guess you could say, or maybe it's just like how he'd been growing up all of his life.
Well, and he also threw up on a chick. That was like the big inciting moment for his death spiral.
Yeah, I would say that's definitely part of it, but like the unfortunate bit there too is like his cousin and his friend were like always there for him, and he was just constantly rejecting their friendship for the most part. And you know, they attributed a lot of the cool things, like the one guy, I can't remember, I think his name was Steve. Was that the black kid's name? It was like Steve or whatever. He was like attributing a lot of the cool shit they were able to do to like stuff he was discovering, you know. I felt like there was enough of like praise and like positivity from the other two. I don't really think that like there was any reason for main kid to believe that, you know, they weren't actually his friends. So that was kind of strange in my opinion. But
Fun fact for you, Dylan, Steve played by young Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah, that guy. But I do think it's really interesting how, in a way, at the end of the movie, you could reflect back and be like, oh, the cousin, like the older cousin, was actually the protagonist the whole time, and we just didn't know it. But I also like how, like, the movie slowly ramps up over time, especially in regards... I think it's kind of silly, and maybe I'm wrong for this, that in the description of the movie, it says these kids get superpowers. I guess if you take it in the most literal sense, then yeah, superpowers. But, just like...
I mean, what other... Are you saying telekinesis is not a superpower?
Like I said, if you take it in, like, the most face value way possible, yes. I guess maybe just because of the media that I'm exposed to when you know, view superpowers, telekinesis is pretty far down on the list for me, but... regardless of that description,
I mean, they can fucking fly with that shit.
What the fuck are you talking about, dude?
I'm just gonna move on from that. I don't really think I had anything going for me there.
Professor X,
yeah,
Tatsumaki.
I don't fully remember who Tatsumaki is. Hold on, Tatsumaki sounds... Or no, that's fucking One Punch Man.
One Punch Man.
But anyway, that actually was one thing I wanted to praise this movie for, is they took telekinesis and they made it such like an interesting... Like flying, for example. That was a really interesting thing to see. I thought that was very cool. And just I don't really know what else to say about this movie. I just thought it was very fun to watch. I remember as a kid seeing this kind of shit. This is the kind of like childhood like fantasy stuff that I really enjoyed. But I think the acting was also fine for the most part. I guess I should actually talk about the movie itself, not necessarily about the character and their flaws. But yeah, I don't really know what else.
If you guys got telekinesis, what % odds do you think it is that you would become evil?
100.
Yeah, probably. Like that shit he did, that Andrew did to that dude on the road, I would 100% have done that shit week 1.
Oh my god.
I don't know, like 5%. I'm not a violent person.
I'm at like a solid 20%.
You guys
are fucking capping, man.
Guys, I don't...
I mean evil, like, full-on, like, murdering people for no reason. You're saying there's 100% chance you'd start doing that?
Yeah, I'd become a mass murderer. I'd be like...
I don't have an Uncle Ben to keep me in line, dude, okay? I think, honestly, Tanner, I think that you're the most likely to do that. I think you're just putting on airs right now with this answer. You just like to say things to sound nice.
Yeah, Nico and I have fucking issues, man.
I mean, what do you guys think my chances are in that regard, since we're judging?
100%.
100%.
You're the most likely, quite frankly. I take back what I said about Tanner.
Why would I be the most likely? Explain this to me.
I think week 1, you kill 3 people by making a tree fall on them.
Why would I do that?
They pushed you too far.
Who did?
They made fun of you.
What's different? Why would if Nico,
You have superpowers now, you can do something about it.
Why would Nico, I don't need superpowers to kill somebody. Let's get one thing straight. I don't think
you can get away with it as an accident, though.
I don't think that mattered. I don't have the mental fortitude to murder it. Guys, you know how I fucking reacted to sadness. You think I'd be able to do that shit of my own free will?
I mean, we're specifically saying you actually have the lack of mental fortitude necessary to do it.
I think you guys have a terrible, concept of how I would operate with superpowers, and I don't think that's my fault.
Yeah, I'd fucking, kill 100 people, I think.
Oh my god.
That's awful. Why?
I think I'd commit a fucking school shooting.
That's...
Jesus.
Okay.
I'd probably just take over a small third world country and then start a harem of women from every country.
That's pretty badass, too.
I honestly would just do things that would make my life easier, I'd just lift things I couldn't lift on my own, obviously, because I'm physically impaired as well, but, regardless of that, flight would be definitely a cool thing. That's definitely on the list. That's something I'd learned pretty early on,
Honestly, I'd just use my powers to, help mankind, I'd have old ladies, float across the street and stuff like that. I think that I'd be a very giving person with my powers.
How long do you guys think it would take for the government to catch Dylan?
That's the thing, though.
Notice him and then catch him.
That's the thing, though, is I don't know if I'd make it public knowledge that I have telekinesis, because there is the 100% chance that if the government found out about that shit, I'm getting dissected. So there is that.
Personally, I think I'm dead week 1. Personally,
huh?
I'm giving Dylan 8 days max.
Dude, there's no way I'm gonna display my powers for everybody to see. That's just stupid.
You're gonna be at work and they're gonna tell you to lift a fucking box and you're gonna use your powers to do it and somebody's gonna catch you and be like, what the fuck was that?
That's the trick, though. You would lift the box physically, but you'd use your telekinesis to assist you, so it doesn't look like you have superpowers.
See, unfortunately, this is a bait box. It was actually completely filled with 1,000-pound bricks, and you just lifted it.
They just had that lying around just for this scenario.
You guys are fucking crazy. You guys are setting me up for failure, quite frankly, and I don't appreciate it.
Dylan, just run with the bit, man. Please, I beg of you. I said I'd be a school shooter. You can say you'd get caught in a week. It's fine.
No, because you guys like to take what I say out of context and use it against me later, so I'm not gonna do that.
Dude, are we the women in this relationship? That's fucked up.
Probably. You guys like to do that to me a lot, and I don't fuck with that shit anymore.
We're so off track. Nico, please get a soundbite of me saying I'd be a school shooter.
Okay, will do, pal.
This is what I'm talking about. You guys have that fucking snippet of Dylan, do you want to be a grand wizard or whatever the fuck you guys said? And I was like, yeah, that'd be pretty cool. And then you guys try to pin that on me for being a fucking KKK leader or some shit.
It's obviously
we do it to everyone, though.
I don't care. I don't appreciate it, so I don't fuck with it.
Dude, is it our fault if you don't know that the leader of the KKK is called the Grand Wizard?
Kind of.
On a completely unrelated note, Dylan, would you like to be a Grand Cyclops?
I'm not going to answer that question. I'm not going to answer a question I don't know the proper answer to.
Okay.
Not without...
Personally, I'd say no, because I want 2 eyes. I like having depth perception.
Not without prior... You can just have one really strong eye, dude. That's fine.
Yeah, they can fire lasers and shit from it.
I don't want to do that.
I don't think that's how that works.
If you could gain laser vision, but you had to become a Cyclops, would you do it?
It depends. Is it going to be fucking X-Men Cyclops laser vision, or am I able to just fucking control this shit like Superman?
No, it's going to be real laser vision, not that pussy-ass bullshit they put in the X-Men.
So it's Superman laser vision.
Yeah.
I struggle to find the usefulness in laser vision and only laser vision, so I think I'll have to decline.
Think of how much easier it'd be to shoot up the school.
What's the range of laser vision? If I let that shit blast, how far does that laser go?
I mean, hypothetically, a laser is a massless projectile, so I think it just keeps going until it hits something that can stop it.
That's what I assume would happen.
Could it cut through the earth?
Yeah, can I shoot myself by blasting it around the fucking earth and just hits myself in the back of the head?
That's not how that works.
I
unfortunately.
don't think gravity would impact it. I think it would just go off into space.
A laser is just highly concentrated light, and light just travels in a straight path infinitely until, like Tanner said, it runs into something that stops it, So
you're saying, yes, you could just cleave the Earth in twain.
Like I said, with enough effort, probably.
Hell yeah, man.
Well, Dylan, did you like Chronicle?
Yeah, I enjoyed it quite a bit. I feel like I didn't... I feel like I didn't have the capacity to rate this movie properly. What did I give it? I gave it like a B+ or something.
Yeah, something like that.
I feel like that's appropriate. I don't know if I truly appreciate... The CGI in this movie was fine, I guess, but it's also 2012, and there's better examples of CGI in that era, and even before then.
Like Transformers.
Yeah. And, like, I don't know, the plot felt weird at times for me. Like, it's an enjoyable watch, but I'm not gonna go out of my way necessarily to watch it, but I still think it was well made. I guess I'll leave it at a B+. That sounds about right, I guess.
Okay.
I'd hope you'd leave it at the rank you said, because that would fuck Jackson up severely.
Yeah, unfortunately, you don't have a choice.
Did you remember?
I did. I just remembered. Okay. I really would have appreciated if they, like, had some line at some point where they're like, hey, so, like, people have, like, been seeing us fly lately. Like, they got footage of it. We should probably, like, chill out on that a bit. But no, we just never get any indication that nobody is seeing them fly at any point here. Even though it's doing it in, like, broad daylight.
Yeah, no, they didn't address any of them fucking literally just blatantly doing shit. Like, flying around and falling down to the park and stuff. Lots of instances where they should have been caught, but they weren't. Pretty funny.
Yeah.
But overall, I thought it was a fine film. I will say, I checked out some reviews for this one, because I was very curious what people are thinking, much like Tanner. And from what I found, like, on YouTube, people fucking love this movie. They adore it. They just are head over heels with this thing.
Dude, that's crazy.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't either, quite frankly. You're a psychopath, Tanner. That's all I have to say.
Okay, I'm sorry I get to enjoy things and you don't.
I wish. I think the movie has a novel concept. I wish they played with it a little bit more. Don't ask me what I mean by that. But yeah, and honestly, it was just kind of like some schlocky movie for me for the most part. I didn't really take away a ton from it. Especially that ending, I thought was genuinely fucking just bad. To be honest. I didn't at that point I didn't really have any emotional attachment to any of the characters, so I didn't really give a shit about what was happening. I thought it was just kind of goofy and funny.
I did think it was cool when he fucking launched the spear into Andrew's chest, though. That was pretty sweet.
That shit was pretty hard.
Yeah.
First, if I was a cop, I would have fucking killed myself. I would have shot myself in the head.
Well, guys, are we keeping our ranks the same then?
Yeah.
I am.
I am as well. And Dylan probably is too. He doesn't have a say in it. He's not here. So, yeah, what does that give it?
B+.
Wow.
Whoa.
Shocker.
Higher than I would have imagined. Speaking of movies that are probably going to land higher than we'd imagine, we've got the 2003 film Wrong Turn, as requested by me. And this is a movie about some dude that takes a wrong turn because the highway's blocked up and he gets hunted down by hillbillies with a group of other people that were stuck on the road.
Fun fact, when the one girl jumps from the watchtower, she... What the fuck? I didn't put enough information to remember what I'm talking about. So Carly, I think she's redheaded, if I remember correctly. When she jumps from the watchtower and lands in the tree, she dislocates her shoulder for real, and you can kind of hear it pop out in the movie.
Jesus.
Very funny. Why did they do it like that?
I don't know.
Them jumping out of that tree was fucking hilarious, man. All of them landed so terribly.
Yeah. They were ready to get themselves killed. Right now I'm sitting at a flat C.
Okay, thank fucking God. I was worried there. Dylan gave it a B+. I'm at a C- myself.
I'm at a flat D.
So, going into this, I thought I was just not gonna like it at all, and I will say I enjoyed it way more than I thought I would. It kind of just ends up being a fairly competently done horror movie. I don't think it doesn't do very much great, but it also doesn't fuck up things very horribly. My biggest detractor is the villains, the inbreds they have really inconsistent intelligence. Like, because, like, you know, they can clearly, like, track and plan and stuff. But then when someone is very obviously baiting them to go in a certain direction, they just fall for that shit. I think a big thing that helped me enjoy this movie more was, like, that opening crawl where they're showing, like, fake scientific studies about how, like, inbreeding causes super strength and, like, resistance to pain. The second I read those, I was like, oh, okay. I don't need to think about this.
No.
I can just enjoy it as some dumb shit.
Dude, speaking of dumb shit though, our main characters, our posse who are following, they themselves are so fucking dumb throughout this entire film that it was really taking me out of it. Like, especially during that initial scene where they confronted the hillbillies themselves and they're just like chilling there in their fucking cabin and they witness their friend get butchered in front of them. Why the fuck do they not take the gun and just blast him?
Yeah, I thought the same thing.
They're scared. Yeah, they, per usual with a horror movie, they do a lot of really dumb shit and people die in a lot of really stupid ways.
Like, if anything, I obviously we see the hillbillies, they are very resistant and stuff. They don't take damage too good. So I feel like if we did see them like try to kill them immediately and then they realize, oh, it didn't do anything, like they're still alive and kicking, that would have made it much more terrifying.
Yeah, I agree. I think it would have made more of a setup because they realize they're going against some like supernatural shit that they can't necessarily fight back against, and it adds to it.
Yeah.
Alas, that ruined the setup for the next sequel. Yeah. Oh well.
Tanner, did you see the after credit scene for this film?
I can't remember if I did. What was it?
It's like the hillbillies crawling out of the fucking burned down shack.
I was literally just about to ask, is it the same inbreds in the next movie? And it sounds like the answer is yes, which is very stupid.
I mean, even before you see the after credit scene, you can see them like moving around after taking some pretty mortal hits before the house explodes. So you can definitely assume that there's some shenanigans going on here. Speaking of shenanigans, one of the aspects of this movie I wish they played around with more was just like the traps they had set up in the woods. Like when they ran away from that like bear trap or fucking whatever it was, or it was like a tripwire or something. I wish there was more of that because I genuinely I think the idea of that's a lot scarier. Like them fucking randomly getting stuck in some bear trap and having to deal with that situation is a lot scarier than the impending doom of some people hunting them down personally and having to deal with that. And instead, we just get them stuck in some fucking fire watching house for 20 minutes.
Yeah, I wasn't a huge fan overall, but it sounds like Dylan liked this film quite a bit. What did he think about it?
This one was a little weird for me, just because... So, the one thing I can appreciate, because, like, obviously, I'm going to keep referring to this for reasons, coming off of the sadness, they were very just putting on display every violent act that was going on. In movies like this, yeah, we know and are aware that the violent acts are taking place, but they're not super graphical about it, and that might just be the fucking American censorship laws, I don't know. But one thing I can kind of appreciate about this movie is the characters weren't being stupid just for plot progression, at least not a ton of moments I could tell. I thought the acting in this was fairly good. But what do I really even have to say about this movie? I think...
Who was the baddest bitch in this movie?
Honestly, though, I kind of want to say the chick who was getting married, I guess. She was probably...
She was cute.
Yeah. I'm, like, really trying to... I feel like there was, like, some moments in this movie where things could have been avoided. Like, what the fuck am I thinking? Like, they're in the... Oh, let me just skip right to the end. So obviously this movie has very heavy sequel bait. I think the sequel bait is dumb because, I mean, obviously they didn't allude to anybody escaping, but also at the end we had all three of the dudes on the ground writhing in pain, like bleeding out, and then we saw them blow up the entire fucking house and also set fire to it, and then they just want to show that one hillbilly that definitely should have been dead like twice over. That one got fucked up prior, so the fact that he still wasn't dead was a little weird. But I mean, maybe it was in the dark, so it was hard to tell. He looked like he was fine after like the whole explosion thing, and I guess we'll have to see what happens in the sequels. I just don't like when they're just like, oh, by the way, next movie, because one of the guys survived somehow, what I like to call a Disney death, where it didn't happen on screen, so therefore you cannot prove that they died. But, yeah, I don't think this movie was too terribly offensive in a lot of ways. I do think it's strange that... Well, I guess I can't think it's super strange for, like, the cops or anybody in the area not knowing about these hillbillies, considering people are disappearing and dying and nobody knows what's going on, and it's a very out in the neck of the woods kind of thing going on. Yeah, I mean, this is not a run-of-the-mill, like, horror film, and, like I said, in the aspect of they're just doing stupid things for the movie to progress. I did think it was kind of dumb the way that it ended. I feel like... I'm trying to recall a moment where I'm pretty sure they had access to, like, a car or something, and they could have gotten away, and they didn't, but that's not super ringing a bell right now.
So far, it sounds like you haven't said anything positive about the film, despite being substantially higher than any of us on it.
Yeah, like I said, I didn't really think about this movie too awfully much, so, like I said, I was workshopping the rankings, but like I said, I couldn't really come to a, like, decisive point in my thinking. I guess, without being overly redundant from the episode, what were your guys' thoughts on the movie?
Dude, I hope that inbreds gain more superpowers as the series goes on.
Yeah, I agree. I want to see him fucking jumping around like fucking not Conan. What the fuck's that guy's name?
I have no idea what the fuck you're trying to say.
No, it's that fucking movie where they're on Mars.
Oh, John Carter.
Yeah, fuck, I want to see him jumping around like John Carter, chasing after people in the forest.
I want one of them to turn invisible.
Yeah,
like fucking Predator. Yeah, I mean, I think, like I said, that one dude falling out of the tree, for sure, I think for sure should have died. But yeah, I mean,
dude, you saw the opening to the movie. Those newspapers told us that inbreeding gives you super strength and pain resilience.
Pain resilience doesn't matter when it comes to dying, quite frankly. As far as superpowers, I think that's just some fucking gaslight tactics, dude. I don't know. Some fucking incest gaslighting tactics.
Dude, that's not gas. I mean, I guess you could call it gas. I'd say it's just lying, but sure, gaslight. They're gaslighting you into sleeping with your sister.
I mean, to me, that's relatively the same thing. You know, whenever I'm lied to, it's also when I'm getting gaslit. So who really knows at this point? Yeah, I'm kind of looking over some of my movies in B+, and maybe I'm wrong for that one.
Perhaps you took a wrong turn with that ranking.
I did. I sure did, buddy. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's something super notable outside of what I've already said. I do remember saying at one point in the movie, I'm trying to remember where I was like, the movie could end right now and it would be totally fine. Like when the fucking cop got fucking that one hillbilly. Maybe I'm like, you know, I guess you could equate it to like the hillbilly's been bow hunting forever, so of course he's that accurate. But he happens to miss when it's actually important, and our protagonists or whatever, our survivors, I guess I could call them, are in danger. But like that part where he's like trying to get the cop and he fucking dies, and he had all the time in the world to fucking grab the gun and he just didn't. That was a little sus. But like also the fact that the hillbilly just didn't see him roll under the car, that was also pretty fucking stupid. I didn't get that a ton. Yeah, I don't really know what else. I mean, if I change my ranking now, it won't really matter all that much.
Dude, keep that one in your pocket for fucking 3 months from now.
What do you think you would lower it to?
I'm looking over, like, I don't know, maybe C+ would probably be a better place for this.
Pretty substantial drop. Much more understandable ranking, though.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know why, like, I put no brain power into ranking this week. I mean, it sounds like the last one I did okay. Not that I'm basing, like, what I should be ranking them, but, like, in terms of, like, realistically where these movies should go, this one definitely, it was this and Aliens that I was, like, struggling to comprehend. I actually think I changed my ranking of Alien based on what I ranked this movie. Not wrong turn. I meant I changed Alien based on what I thought of Aliens. But we'll get there in a minute, I suppose.
Gotcha.
Yeah, wrong turn. It was kind of whatever. It was fine. Okay, it was fine. I wouldn't watch it again, but if somebody wanted to, I'd probably be down to watch it. I don't know.
What a silly guy he is. All right, do we have many more thoughts on this film?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, there's really not a whole lot to say. It's an insanely generic horror movie. The acting's not very great. The character decisions are pretty fucking stupid and unbelievable. Like, what the fuck else are they supposed to do outside of jump out of the tree? Like, it just looked so bad. And then all of the scenes in the tree were super fucking goofy. And there's like some action movie shit to end it. Not a crazy big fan of this one personally.
Yeah,
Didn't really do anything super novel for me enough to want to like make me get interested in it at all.
Yeah, from what I saw, people seem to enjoy this film a decent bit too, and I just don't get it. This film has like 5 sequels. What the fuck is up with that?
Dude, it has 5 sequels and 1 reboot.
It's a very repeatable formula or something. I don't know.
I guess so.
Yeah.
I think in one of them they go to like an insane asylum, and like the hillbillies get out and start fucking shit up.
I love them for that.
They get out of the woods?
I think they're locked up in the asylum.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Either way, though, I'm actually going to go ahead and drop my rank here. Let's go to a D+. Why not?
I'm fine with sticking at a flat C.
I fucking did the inverse by accident. I muted myself when I tried talking, and I was typing when I was unmuted. Yeah, I'm sticking at a D here. Not a crazy big fan of this one. Also, like, when they get to the fucking area where there's all the cars, like they're trying to actively evade their captors, they get to the area with all the cars that they're like disassembling, and then they just immediately slow down like, what is this place?
Yeah.
Like, get the fuck out of there, retards! Anyways, it lands at a C. C for kooky.
Too high. Too damn high.
And speaking of movies that are going to land too damn high, we've got the 1986 film Aliens, as requested by our lovely guy that's not here, Dylan, and also our Patreon member, Mr. T. Thanks for the request. Dylan picked it for you.
You got it early. How about that? Christmas came early for you this year. So, Aliens is a film about old Sigourney Weaver. She, right when she gets out, they bring her right back in. She's going back to the planet where they initially found the xenomorph eggs, and they're there to fucking destroy them. But, bad things happen, and oops, I guess they're not actually there to destroy them. They're trying to get them back to Earth, and she has to fucking murder a bunch of xenomorphs, but it's okay in the end. She makes it alive with her new daughter. The end.
Fun fact, one of the alien eggs in this film is now in the Smithsonian.
Oh, that's cool.
Hell yeah.
Guys, I like this movie. I like it more than the first Alien film. I give it an A-.
Dude,
Whoa.
I also liked it more than the first Alien movie, and I also gave it an A-.
Oh.
I am in between an S- and an A+ right now.
Okay. And Dylan gave it an A.
Why would you gas up the guy, dude?
What do you...
Just blatantly lie to him.
Well, listen, so for context for the folks at home here, I was expecting this film to resonate a lot more with Tanner and Dylan. I thought they'd both be given like S's or S+, but they simply didn't, you know? Like, it's still a fairly high-ranking film, but I just thought they'd like it more.
Fair enough.
I do like immediately that this is a very different film than the first one. Like, they're not just trying to basically just repeat the same formula as the first one. This is much more of an action movie with like horror elements rather than a horror movie with action elements. I appreciate that. I think it's interesting that way.
Yeah, it puts a fun spin on it. Just the way that we see, like, all these hard and grizzled military men going in, they're like, don't you worry, we can fucking destroy these dang old bugs, it don't matter to us. And, like, they're real suited up, they got all these crazy-ass weapons, and to some degree, you might even think, hey, I'm sure if they do actually kind of have this, they seem to know their shit. But then things go very wrong very quickly.
Personally, I was of the opposite opinion. This is just gonna lead me into saying that I think my favorite thing about this movie is just the characterizations of everybody, and their motivations all seem very clear. They all have very unique personalities, and I like that. The whole cast is very lively and fun.
Yeah.
Big fan of that. And I do love that, I'm sure it's Sigourney Weaver's character, whatever the fuck her name is. she's probably, like, she agrees to this thing because she assumes she's getting on with, like, a bunch of professionals, and then day one out of the cryopod, everyone's a fucking retard. She's like, oh, god damn it. That probably was like, okay, I immediately regret my decision. But alas, she can't do it. And I think they do display a vast amount of incompetence throughout their time on the planet. They're underestimating their enemy a great deal. They're taking things very casually, and they fall apart pretty quickly because of that, with a lot of bad decisions, like leaving the fucking hole to their ship open. They also have nobody in the fucking orbital ship. What the fuck is wrong with those retards? They make a ton of really dumb decisions, and they pay the price for it. And yeah, I just think the characters are very fun and entertaining. Big fan.
Yeah, I agree. The characters are the real standout thing. The movie does a great job of just constantly having, like, just little bits of characterization here and there. Like, when they're ordered to give up their ammo, the two people with, like, the rig things, they have secret stashed ammo for themselves. And then the guy that pulls out, like, his, like, ye old shotgun and whatever. Just stuff that gives the characters a little personality. I kind of like the world building implication of how the military acts, where it kind of just seems like so far in, like, humanity's expansion through space, they've just kind of been able to run over everything else, like, in the universe. And so the xenomorphs are the first, like, real shit they run into. And in fact, I think I read the Aliens comics way back in the day. I think it might be the case that in the alien universe, humans are, like, the first species to figure out, like, long distance space travel. And so we really are able to just fuck shit up for the most part until we find the xenomorphs.
Gotcha.
This movie did actually spur me on to want to learn more about the universe, because the first movie has a minor amount of snippets, but really it's mostly about the events of the movie and not really trying to divulge a ton about the world building. This movie has a lot more. You have the intro scenes of the, where you learn a lot more about the company itself and what their goals are, specifically, what they're intending to do on, like, all these various other planets and things, which I appreciate. And it just feels like much more of a fleshed out universe, and because of that, I immediately was like, okay, what the fuck's going on here? And now I know, which I'm not going to spoil anything, but now I know. I know too much, goddammit, actually. I immediately got spoiled about the fucking third movie. I'm like, shit.
That's okay. I don't think people generally see the third movie as anything in particularly amazing or whatever.
No, people mostly think it's this movie, the first one, and the most recent one, and everything else is kind of bad.
Even the most recent one, some people think is really bad. I will say, one great aspect for this film is it is insanely quotable. There are so many great lines throughout it. There are a lot of fantastic scenes. Just a lot of, like, the sort of, like, inner logic of, like, why the characters doing certain things do make a lot of sense as well. Like, when Ripley gets out of the fucking burning down building where she's, like, escaping from the alien queen. And we see it, like, the fucking robot, he ain't on that dang old thing anymore. He flew away. It's like, what the fuck did he do that for? My immediate thought was that, it's probably, like, too rickety or whatever the fuck at this point, so you need to, like, take off so they wouldn't, like, fall down or some shit. And that's what he says. He's like, yeah, I'm sorry, it was too unstable. We needed to take off for a bit, but we got you now, which is just great. I will say, though, one aspect of this film that was a pretty big disappointment for me was that big final fight scene between Ripley and the alien queen. Like, that's a scene that I've seen hyped up and just parodying so many things that I was excited to finally check it out myself. And it was really lame. They didn't have, like, any background music or whatever during that scene, so it was just like bwah, bwah, bwap, whap, bwah, bwah.
True.
It was very unsatisfying.
The whole, like, last half an hour of the film is definitely where it fell flat for me for the most part. Genuinely, I would have liked it if the kid got fucking got and then they dipped, and that was the end of the movie. A much more grim ending, obviously, but yeah, I do wish they kind of worked it just to make the alien queen a little bit earlier in the film, because I do like seeing her. And if they cut that out, I think it would have been bad value. But yeah, the alien queen is cool in and of itself. But yeah, that last fight scene, pretty fucking goofy. I didn't really care for it that much. And just the whole idea of, like, obviously she cares for this kid a lot. And I'm sure she has some attachment to it because her own daughter died. And she's still kind of coupling with that knowledge. But it's still so insanely stupid to solo go into the fucking mouth of the enemy, basically, and try to get her back when it's been who knows how long, and presumably she's already probably fucking got. Like, it's just so insanely stupid, and I cannot fathom why she would do that.
At the same time, I feel like it is very believable for the character, though, so I don't really hold it against the film that much.
I don't know. I'm not super sold on it. The other big decision that I think is kind of stupid too is that in the first movie they learned that the company has a vested interest in getting these fucking xenomorph things. And honestly, one of my biggest gripes with the movie is that she just goes along with this plan regardless. They don't need her really in any capacity. Basically, all she really does from like the perspective of the Marines needing her help is just to fucking give them some guidance. But like, she could have just recorded a video and that would have been that. I don't know why the fuck she needs to be there outside of just the plot wanting her to be there. And her agreeing to go in the first place, I could kind of see it as like she wants to clear her conscience and just know that they're dead or something, and that'll help get rid of her nightmares or whatever. But she doesn't need to be there to know that, right? She doesn't need to be active in this experience and putting herself in danger. And also, the big thing is, like what I was trying to say in the first movie, the robot makes it evident that the company wants these fucking, like, the eggs or the samples of these aliens, and they want them over the lives of the people on the crew. Why the fuck does she trust that the company's in her best interest here? It doesn't make any sense. She already got betrayed by them once. She had a whole first part of the movie is them telling her to kick fucking rocks so they don't believe her, even though they know that there's the aliens. They're just fucking with her. Like they are very aware of the xenomorphs. Why the fuck does she trust them? I don't get it. It just seems really fucking stupid to me. But basically everything else I think is great. Set design is fucking amazing. Xenomorphs look way cooler in this movie for the most part. Mm-hmm. Sound design, pretty great. It's a very well-made movie and very entertaining overall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was gonna say one of the biggest things this movie does great is atmosphere. Just all of the set locations, and then the analog sci-fi and whatever. And
oh yeah, it's got that 80s funk to it, which I love.
Oh yeah, it's got that spunk on it.
I was so fucking into it when they're first raiding into the base, after they had like first landed, and like when they're getting into the nest. That shit was so fucking cool and immersive. I was like on the edge of my seat with everything. Like, when the fuck are they gonna see one? Just because you're so acutely aware of how dangerous these xenomorphs are, just by themselves. Which actually, that's another like kind of thing, is the first movie makes them seem like they're much more of a threat than they, like, I guess truly are, but it's mostly just because they're primarily unarmed in the first movie.
Yeah.
Whereas this one, they're like fucking jobbers. They're just like gunning them down in mass, and I don't know. My brain just kind of assumed that they're much more threatening than they actually were. But now I know they're much more like a peons rather than like some actual, like, I mean, they are still like big scary monsters, but like they're much more
they do still fuck shit
weak.
up quite a lot.
Yeah, but they're just a lot weaker than I thought they were. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. I agree. The military guys are cool. It just stands out in my mind so much. The fucking gun on like the swivel arm is such a cool fucking thing, and I am always like, man, we should do that shit in real life. That is so badass. The effects, I think, are pretty solid. I think sometimes the normal aliens, you're like, okay, that's a guy in a suit. But the queen is fucking impeccable, dude. Oh, yeah. She looks insanely good. It's like unreal. When
she's getting off of the bottom of the ship, when they land inside of like the orbital like hauler, that shit looked fucking awesome too. The costume design of that's really well done.
Yeah. It blows me away looking at that. I think the pacing, one of my two main problems are in the middle of the film. I think the pacing takes a bit of a hit. And then I think the clarity of some of the action films could really be better. They're doing a lot of jump cuts between different Marines and close-ups of guns firing and then close-ups of aliens exploding, and it's really hard to keep track of like what's going on, you know?
Yeah, when they first get into the nest in that very first action scene of them in there, that shit was insanely fucking messy, and I think they were trying to do that on purpose just because it was a very messy scenario. There was fucking like gas and shit going off. There's just tons of chaos. Another part of that scene I like a lot too is like where are all the aliens? I'm getting a ton of ratings. Where are they? And they're literally the fucking walls. That shit's metal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, another particular standout scene for me was when like the two face huggers get out while Ripley and the little girl were like they were asleep, and they're like trying to escape from that room, but they just couldn't fucking do it, and like them things were just keep coming after them repeatedly over and over again. I was on the edge of my seat during that section.
Yeah, that was a super well done scene. I was also very tense.
Yeah.
Nico, what did you think of the child's performance in this one?
I thought she did fine. Also, fuck the one line where it's like, they mostly come out at night, mostly, or whatever. I didn't realize that was from this film. I thought that was from like Silence of the Lambs or some shit.
There was so many goddamn fucking quotes. Like, I talked about this a little bit after I watched the movie when I was like live reacting to it, but Jesus, there were so many things I knew about this movie without ever having seen it, mostly from Hudson. I had so many fucking quotes that guy says I've heard in so many other places. It's cruel.
Man. Game over.
Yeah, that's a big one. I've heard that fucking everywhere. He's very quotable.
Yeah, that guy's like all over these 80s action films. I believe he also died. He was in Predator. I think he was also in Terminator 2. He's just all over the shit. And he dies in each of those films.
Hell yeah.
Funny.
He's the fucking fodder. Yeah, going back to the characterization though, I do like the sort of like a blossoming affection they have going on with Hicks too. Hicks almost kind of takes up Sigourney Weaver's place in this movie, where all of like the chain of command kind of dies out and he's forced into a position of power, and I think he does well. Honestly, it felt very natural, him getting put into that position. I do like the connection that he makes with our main character throughout it too. It felt very genuine without it being like some forced romance bullshit. Curious to see where that goes in the future films. I guess we'll find out. It's like almost they have like a little happy family with the daughter.
Yeah.
And our main character and him, kind of, almost, maybe. He's probably already married or some shit. Trauma bonding, though.
Speaking of trauma bonding, what kind of trauma did this film give Dylan?
Aliens. So I remember when Tanner, when we were talking about it last week, Tanner said it was a big departure from the last Alien movie. I appreciate this movie a whole lot more. I think this movie has gone a long way from its first entry, but like I like the aliens, I like the suspense, I like the mood and the plot they set up. And of course the movie I can't dock it for having this trope, but of course it starts with the whole, oh, you sent people to this planet, that's where we found the thing, and then everybody's like in denial. It's like, oh, there's nothing there, we've been scanning the planet for forever, there's nothing there, and she's like, you just killed a bunch of people. And then of course, probably not even like 10 minutes after that scene happens, we're like, yeah, we lost contact with that colony. And I think like one of the solutions was like, we just need to fucking nuke the place. I don't think that was like the first thought, but like I think that definitely came up. But I like how they go into the. I think the Marines are a bit much. Am I crazy for thinking they? And I guess Space Marines are probably a different story. Am I like the only one that's like thinks that these Marines are a bit much for the situation at hand, or am I off base for thinking that?
What do you mean by a bit much?
They seem a little too like rowdy hoorah, like not army official for the job. Like they just feel like they're not taking this super serious. Like obviously they have no reason to.
Yes, you're crazy. We all loved that shit.
I mean, it was fine. I'm not saying it was bad. I just thought it was kind of strange. I think
it's supposed to represent the fact that the company's not really putting a ton of effort into this. Like, they went out of their way to not really get, like, super properly trained people.
I get, dude, the funniest guy out of all of them, I can't remember any of their names. And I remember, because I've heard this soundbite so many times, but it was the guy at the very end where he's like, it's game over, man. I'm like, holy shit, that's where that soundbite comes from? It's from this movie? Because it felt like such a serious moment, and he just, like, is a fucking child in that moment, in my eyes. Very silly. But, I like how much of a threat the aliens are, and, like, I think they're trying to slowly introduce that the aliens have, like, intelligence, which I can kind of appreciate, because this is supposed to be, like, an apex species, apex predator, that, you know, obviously everybody constantly underestimates. But, yeah, I think that the costumes and props were better than Last Alien, obviously. Which is because I don't remember which order. I remember I listened to the Alien review because I wanted to make sure after I had got done watching Aliens, and I think I had said prior the costume was bad, but the puppetry was good. And I think you guys were saying the opposite, where the puppetry was bad, but the costume was good.
Fun fact, there was just some fucking dude in a costume. It wasn't even a puppet for a lot of it.
For Alien or for this one?
For Alien.
Yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, I just think that this movie overall is a general improvement over the last one. I think the plot makes sense. I don't think anybody's too wildly out of character for the most part. I do think it's funny how everybody's like tone shifts after they make their It was a little strange that, you know, they have a lot of evidence to point towards like things going completely awry. I remember when they got into the colony base the first time, I was like, yeah, this is like signs that you guys should probably fucking leave. But obviously they have a job to do. They're supposed to find out what happened. So, again, I don't know if I can fault this movie. It's just the general trope that the movie has to follow for things to happen. So, can't get super upset about that. Acting, I thought, was very good in this movie. The effects, both practical and special, were very good. I don't know how I feel about the loaders. I think the loaders, for the most part, were fine. There was like a part towards the beginning where I think it was like it was kind of like in RoboCop where it was almost stop motion. You guys know what I'm talking about when in that loader scene where fucking Ripley's.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought that looked a little goofy and a little bad. Yeah,
I agree. I thought that scene looked pretty dumb.
Yeah, and it didn't even need to happen at the same time. So it was kind of just a whatever scene, like, why is this here? But anyway, I do like how at the end, and like, I called it too, like, I was like, they're probably gonna pull another fucking, wait, it's not over moment, like they did in Alien, because that's definitely what it felt like. I don't know how you can set up a scene to feel that way, but maybe it's because of the first movie, but I knew when they left. I guess I'll go back to the whole Disney death thing again, where we didn't see the alien queen die, so you're kind of left to believe, yeah, it's probably still alive and on the ship, so that's probably what it is. But I do like how they circled back around. Ripley's like, you know, running around trying to figure out what the hell she's supposed to be doing. You know, there's no weapons aboard, obviously. All the weapons they lost all the ammunition. There's no, like, combat personnel left to fight. So what does she do? She goes and finds a loader and just goes, like, hand-to-hand combat with this fucking alien queen, which I thought was pretty cool. And I like how they wanted us to think that man, what do they call the robots in this? Synthetics? Is that what they call them in this movie?
Yeah.
I like how they were trying to give us the vibe that the synthetic... He even, like, was acting a little strange, too, but how they were trying to give us the idea that the synthetic was going to turn again and be evil, and how that just turned out to not be the case. I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah, I thought that, like I said, I thought this movie was a general improvement from the last one.
That's crazy.
Oh, yeah. Well, boys, do we have much more to say about this film?
I wish I liked it more than I did. I certainly think it's definitely a step up over the first one, but yeah, it definitely has its downfalls for me, but it was still a very entertaining movie.
Yeah, I definitely thought it was pretty solid. It kind of reminded me a bit of like Jurassic Park. I don't know what exactly it was, but it did.
I can kind of feel what you're saying, but not really.
Yeah. Well, I'm sticking with A- personally for this one.
Same. I could see myself raising this in the future, but yeah, I'm gonna stick it an A-.
Dude, it's tough. Because I gave Alien an A+. So the question is, I actually don't know if I think it's better, and then I don't know if I think it's better enough to go even one more above it. I think I'm gonna play it safe and go with the lower of my two ranks and say A+ right now.
Hater alert, hater alert. That landed at an A overall, shockingly enough.
Whoa.
Pretty solid, all
I know.
things considered. Is that Dylan's highest film? What's his highest rating so far?
I think he's gotten an A+ before.
Okay.
He did. The second Made in Abyss movie
Gotcha,
landed
okay.
at A+, and he picked that. Stolen, bro. Stolen valor. I appreciate him, though. He saved me 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah. Alrighty, well, as for our new films, Tanner, what are you gonna be picking, pal?
Dude, I fucking don't know what to pick. Jackson, can you say a random word and I'm gonna pick whatever movie on my list I think most closely corresponds to that word?
Alien.
Interesting. That should be easy to figure out. Well, the problem there is I have like several options then. Yeah, let's do that one. I'm gonna be picking, I want to say 2017, but don't quote me on that. Nope.
Whoa.
Okay, that's the Peel movie, right?
It is.
Correct.
I remember you talking about this film previously, Tanner. You said you weren't a huge fan of it.
Did I say that? That's interesting.
Yeah.
Never mind, this is 2022.
Okay.
I was gonna say 2017 seems way too fucking early for that, but I'll trust
That
you.
must be one of his other ones I was thinking of, maybe.
Alright, I'm going to be picking a pretty recent film here, too. From 2024, I will be picking Heretic.
Whoa, I've kind of heard of that, but I don't know anything about it.
I've never heard that one before.
Yeah, if y'all enjoyed our religion discussion during the pre-guap, then you're going to get plenty of it next week, too.
Oh yeah, and of course we also have our Patreon pick this week, and that is of course going to be the 1996 film Fargo, as requested by the B-Bot, aka Blake. Thank you for the request.
Based as fuck, by the way. I'm definitely very excited to check that one out. And if you too would like for us to watch a movie that you would like to request over on Patreon, Tanner's gonna tell you about how you can do that.
That's right, ladies and germs. For only $1 a month, you can head on down to guapish.com/Patreon or patreon.com/Guapish, and you can subscribe to us, and you get early access to every episode, exclusive access to our pre-Guap show, as well as access to our Discord server where you can talk to us, you can request topics for us to do, and you can make requests of movies just like Blake did. And you also get 500 slime coin. And finally, you get your name read out at the end of every episode. So thank you very much to our patrons. GH, Slayed by J, Blake, Netta Gant, I Love Lesbians, Top Ramen Man, Cum Guzzling Cum Guzzler, I Guzzle Cum, Tutbot, Lucas Ledette, Hunter, and Jacob Edwards. Thank you very much.
That's right. Thank you all very much.
You paused for a very long time there. I thought there was some insanely nefarious name, and you were contemplating if you should say it or not.
No, Nico was fucking with the screen like a complete Spazatron retard.
And if you too are Spazatrons and you enjoyed the episode, then please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, or ring a ding that bell. We'll be seeing you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.